let's do this. We don't have an intro song still. Do you want to do intro song this time?
Oh, man. What am I going to do for the intro song? Come on, Evan. Give me some beatboxing.
I would resist if I were you.
Why?
Evan's planning a coup against me.
Oh, really? You've revolted finally against Bryce. I've revolted a long time ago, so it's all good. We all fall, against Bryce sooner or later. So, but no.
Evan thinks it's unfair that I make everyone else come up with the songs and I don't do anything.
Well, you should do it then.
Okay, I will because I play nice. Show code.
I did it.
Here's the intro song.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
That was really good. That was really good. Actually,
Oh my gosh.
I'm impressed.
It's good. It's good.
I give you full authority to remix that however you want when you're editing it, Evan, to make it sound better.
So you definitely need to remix that. Make it go slower or faster. Slower preferable. So
You thought it was too fast?
it was way too fast.
We should optimize for people listening on 2x speed. So we have to have our intro songs play 2 times slower.
See?
Yeah.
We can talk the whole time like this, and then people can then go, wow, I don't ever want to listen to this again.
That was painful for me to hear you talk at that pace. Oh man, no, please don't do it. I did think about that though. I wonder if people are going to start putting out content at a 1.2x speed, because you brought that up. You had a bunch of content that you created this last week, and you said, I think I have to put this on 1.25x speed, but it was just you talking, So I wonder if people are going to start doing that by default.
Well, I feel like people have TikTok brain, meaning when they're listening to, they want a quick dopamine hit when they're like scrolling through. And if they hit someone that's like, let me tell you about the world, they're like, I'm done. Swipe, So, but I recorded myself just in a meeting, and your meeting voice is different than like this podcast, or different than like the shorts you're working on, because you're like concentrating on making sure it's really entertaining, versus if you're in a meeting, it's just like, hey, you're having a conversation. So it's just different.
You're not like this all the time?
90% of the time. Yeah, 90. But I also noticed when I was recording them, you record a meeting and you want to make it into a short, you're just less excited. So like when I would watch it, I'd be like, I don't even know if I want to put this out there, because I'm like, and then you should do this. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is not exciting at all. I'm not riveted. So.
I don't think people realize that. Like the sensationalism on like a YouTube video, if that person acts like that
24/7.
Yeah. Like, this person is the craziest person I know.
Oh, and it feels so uncomfortable to do it when you're on camera, like to be that excited. And then you do the take and you're like, man, that was way over the top. And they're like, that was perfect actually. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Actually, could you turn it up a bit? Yeah, it's weird to act like that. But all right, let's get into some topics from the week. Let's be topical. I have a couple of ideas, things to talk about.
Let's hit it.
Unless you had anything that's on your mind.
There's a couple topics I could hit on later, but you start us off.
Okay. The only thing, and I teased this to Evan earlier when we were talking, because I do want to get his take on it, being a little bit uninitiated. But the big news of the week from Google was their Google Gemini being released. I don't know if you caught much of that.
I saw that.
I can play some of it for you, but so this is going to be their ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT, but GPT-4 competitor. They want to knock out OpenAI. For those who know Google's AI efforts, there was Google Bard before, which was supposed to be like ChatGPT. It's way worse. Everyone knows it's worse. And then they have Gemini, totally different name, which is going to be, again, just a GPT-4 competitor. I'll bring up the video from their launch, but any initial reactions to it, Josh?
It's about time. I mean, I think one of the things that I was interested to see what Google would do is AI is hugely disruptive to their business model, right? It's because if you think about a lot of their revenue comes from ads, and so when you're scrolling through and it's just a different way to navigate information. And so, yeah, I was interested to see how they're gonna go about it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how long it's taken them, and it has been delayed a couple of times. But this video is what went most viral from their launch. I'm not going to play it in its entirety because I don't want to get in trouble. But you can't hear it, but the AI assistant is in live. Is in real time detecting what's being drawn and communicating back. It's saying, "Oh, there's a duck. It's a drawing of a duck. It's on the water." And you can see it written out on the right-hand side there. So it's doing this in real time. Google's proud of how it's multimodal. It can handle anything: image, audio, text, code. But this was the example that they went with to make it seem like it's super powerful. So this is where I want to get Evan's take, because I want to know if you think this is cool or not, that Google Gemini can do something like this.
Well, and a sub question is how often do you draw ducks? So,
Can you play the video a little more?
it's basically describing what you're drawing.
And it can see it. Is that like?
Yeah. So imagine you just have your phone camera, webcam there, and then it's just talking to you about what you're doing. So in this case, you can't hear the question that was asked.
Yeah.
But the person that's doing this is asking questions to the AI assistant. In this case, the question was, can this float? Do you think this can float? And so the AI assistant is saying, I'm not sure what it's made of.
Rubber or plastic. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And then he squeaks it, and the AI assistant says, oh, if it's squeaking, it's definitely going to float.
Wow. I think that's really cool. That's impressive.
Huh?
It's off your phone? This is Google's, correct? Is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The assistant off your phone?
Potentially. So,
but right now, where would you access it?
It's a very good question. So technically, this is all fake. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah. They're trying to give you a preview of what it could be. So.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
You're all excited.
I thought it was really impressive. Yeah.
I was excited because this technology could be applied. I was watching a movie last night, and then whenever they cut to a scene that's really serious and it has music, I have subtitles on all the time. It just says somber music. So like I like look at this and I'm like, this is what it's gonna do. It's gonna like put the somber music like in for you. So
yeah. So it's somewhat fake, somewhat real. They recreated some of this supposedly, so it's not really this live interaction, but they say it could do it if you wanted to. So how you would access it, in the future, it may be on your phone. Maybe you have it set up and you're conversing with it.
Okay.
Maybe it's a webcam. Maybe it's something else. Like maybe you're at a kiosk and you're interacting with it. But the powerful part that Google's trying to show off is that in real time, it can handle audio, video. You could also write to it. You could give it code. You could do whatever.
Okay. It's saying it can handle that, yet it's not there yet. I'm confused why they would release something and then show something it doesn't.
I think it's just
yet.
a preview, right? It's just like, I don't know if this is basically them saying this is what it could do. This is what our Gemini can do.
Okay.
And so
they're like guaranteeing like.
I think they're showing the capabilities of it. That's what this
Okay.
is. Yeah.
But it's just not. It's not there yet.
It's so hard to say because it's just like at this point whenever you see a video and they're like, look, watch this. You're like, I don't know what's smoke and what's mirrors. So it's like I have no idea.
Yeah. This is kind of a fun example because the prompt to the assistant was create a game that uses emojis and this map. And so the game that the assistant came up with was, I'm going to give you 3 emojis and you have to guess which country it is. So it's like a kangaroo and coral, like a reef. and then you guess by pointing, and it's like, you're right, good job. So this is so the power there is like they created a whole game just from a single prompt, right?
You can do that with ChatGPT as well. Because I've actually, I mean, if for those that haven't done that, ask ChatGPT to create you a game, or even one better, you can ask it to create you a story, a choose your own adventure story, and then you can actually go through it.
That's really fun. There's one more example I want to show, which GPT-4 couldn't handle. So some of these things like connect the dots. There's another example where they show it's ultimately the connected dots are going to make a crab.
Yeah.
And Geminis can just look at the dots and say, that's going to be a crab. And ChatGPT-4, you upload it and it says, this is a connected dot image numbered 1 through 69. It doesn't interpret that ultimately it's going to be a crab. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So in other words, Google has actively searched for things ChatGPT can't do, and then programs in like, hey, this is going to be a crab.
I imagine.
Right, yeah. They found these little things.
Exactly.
That,
It's like, do you think that's actually like what their marketing team is doing? Like, imagine, I'm sure this is a very powerful product, but I imagine the marketing team is like, all right, we have to think of 10 use cases that we can show off in these videos. What makes us look really good? And then they have an idea, and then they go over and they use GPT-4, and they're like, oh shoot, it does it. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do something, right? Like,
well, and in this advertisement, they really had a big thing for animals. You know, the duck, and then where's the animal located, and the crab, and it's like, man, they just went all town on these animals.
It's interesting the choice to do specifically connect the dots of an animal. Oh, we can do it, but like, who's going to use that?
See, that's what I mean.
Maybe it's something GPT can't do, so that's why. Like,
wouldn't it be more powerful to show some use cases you would actually use it for, and you're like, ChatGPT can't do this, and you're like, wow, that's really cool.
They couldn't find anything.
Yeah, although I do connect dots often, I will admit.
I think it's interesting, and that's what I was curious about your take, Evan, because I feel like they need to put out more content that makes this relatable to the typical person who's not just excited about AI. Which, Evan, I put you in that camp, that you're not drawn to something just because it's AI, and you're not trying to figure out like, oh, what's underneath this, like this neural network, or it's multimodal. Like, the term multimodal probably does not matter to you at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right. So, but that's what they keep saying. Like, their whole release was, this is multimodal from the bottom up. And then the examples they give are you playing with a rubber ducky. Like, why? I feel like this isn't going to land with the general public, versus when OpenAI launches something, they're like, let's plan our birthday party.
Yes.
Something like that, you know?
Yeah, agreed. Oh, totally agree. So Gemini is actually, if I recollect the history of it was DeepMind.
Yes.
You know, so, and DeepMind was acquired by Google. Is that right? Yeah. And, I was reading an article this last week that DeepMind, actually one of the investors was Elon Musk. Did you hear about this? Like, Elon Musk invested in it, and why he invested in it is, so he was sharing his vision for basically colonizing Mars, because by 2050 he wants to have 1 million people on Mars, right? And so he was sharing it with the CEO of DeepMind, and then the CEO of DeepMind was like, well, do you realize an AI could follow you there and kill all of humanity? And he was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And then he actually invested in DeepMind, like to stay close to the technology. I thought that was so fascinating. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's interesting. I knew Elon Musk started OpenAI, but
an AI could follow and
like it could actually like follow you to Mars and then destroy all of humanity. That was because that's Elon Musk's like one of his biggest worries is that AI is going to just take over the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and an AI would follow from Earth to Mars.
To Mars
with his colonization plan.
Yeah.
And kill everybody there.
Yep.
Interesting.
I know, it's fascinating. It's like it's a movie, right? I mean, that's what it is. It feels like a movie.
Yeah, sounds like the plot to a movie.
It does.
Yeah, it's crazy. I brought up their websites. We could also just kind of scroll through that to see if there's anything that they are purely just talking about how technically powerful it is. Like there's no, you go on here, like they lead with the technical report. So that's who they're trying to convince right now. They're trying to convince people who are going to build on it. Josh, I want to get your take on this. Did you see how they are offering 3 tiers to the product?
Oh, the model sizes. Yeah, that makes sense. An Ultra Pro and a Nano. So I would assume then that would mean Gemini, are they making it an open LLM? Like they're allowing you to download the model. That's what this feels like they're saying is you can actually download it and use it. Kind of like Llama 2. That's what it sounds like.
It could be.
Interesting.
The other way it could be interpreted is it's like Amazon EC2 instances where you have micro and large and extra large.
Yeah.
It might be saying like how many compute resources you get. But something I like about this is if you look at OpenAI and you're using their different models, it's like Ada, DaVinci, and you have no clue.
You don't know what they are.
What that means. What is it good for? And when I was first using those, I was using the wrong one for my application. I was spending more than I should, and I had an unrealistic expectation of what it was going to cost then. It turned me off because I was using the wrong thing. And this makes a little more sense. And you can tell they're trying to make this simple for a consumer. Like you're buying an iPhone, maybe bad reference because it's Google, but buying an iPhone and you just have the Pro or the Max and what's for you.
The way I look at this is like, so it says the capable and largest model. My guess is it's based on the number of billion parameters trained on the model. And like Ultra's, Llama 2, which is comparable to ChatGPT 4, is 70 billion parameters. So I'd have to imagine Ultra would probably be like at minimum 70 billion or more. And Nano would probably be able to run even on a CPU, like if you're allowing. Yeah.
Our most efficient model for on-device tasks.
That's probably, exactly.
I wonder what kind of devices they're talking about there. But
you can run it. I actually have run a model on my phone. They've gotten it to where you can run it on your phone, which is pretty cool.
Nice. Although phones are pretty powerful these days.
They are.
So a use case that I thought was pretty good was this one over here. Taylor and Sebastian were talking about how you can use it to digest just unbelievable amounts of information and synthesize it. I'll show the video over here instead. But in this video, they talk about, I don't know if it's very visual, but they talk about how they are ingesting all this medical information, all these research papers, and how it used to just take a bunch of humans to go through, analyze every single one of them, detect the ones that are relevant, and then get them into another stage in the process, all that. And it would take weeks or months and a lot of effort. And in this case, it took them only a lunch break to process all the new papers that have been created and find all the relevant information. So
when they provide this, they have code strewn in here. When they provide this code strewn in here, I was like thinking in my head are they using a large language model for this? And it looks like they're using maybe for some of it, but they're also using other parts of machine learning and artificial intelligence besides just an LLM.
Yeah, that's what I was a little disappointed when I saw that this is how you have to interact with it. You have to build out these workflows. And I didn't play with this. I don't know. I didn't look into too much detail, but just seeing that you have to set up all these stages in the pipeline, it just doesn't, it feels like the Google way of doing things, which isn't great, but because they're still informing the assistant or the model what they care about rather than it just knowing what's relevant. So so it's still some heavy lifting, but it allows them to process information so much quicker.
Sure.
So they say this is going to be great for medical information, legal information, that type of stuff. So I thought that was a good use case of it.
That's pretty cool.
Because even if I want to see how this becomes usable by the average person, though, because you and I have had issues with the other options out there, other models out there, just feeding it large amounts of data. It just kind of chokes, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
The last thing I want to say about this, and we can move to another topic other than Gemini, is the there's some funny comments out there about how no one's going to invest or build on Google Gemini because people believe Google's just going to shut it down in 2 to 3 years, because that's what Google does with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just some kind of experiment, and people don't want to be caught up in that.
Oh, that's well, that's not an off base thing to think about.
Yeah. Cool. So that's my topic. Google Gemini released this week. Any closing thoughts on that before we switch over to a different one? No.
It's fascinating. These, what's so interesting is, so I'm building a PC right now, and what's so interesting is when you're talking about building a PC, you might resonate with this, Evan, like because you're a video guy, right?
Have you
also
seen
built
a PC?
And you've built PCs, so this is even more pertinent to you.
One PC.
One PC.
Yeah.
So have you seen how expensive the graphics cards are these days?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
And it's because of AI, right? They're just scooping up all of these graphics cards. And it's like,
oh yeah, like the auto buyers.
yeah, like, and these people that are building these. So even last gen consumer cards, because the United States government banned NVIDIA from exporting a certain amount of like teraflops in compute power to China. So like they banned NVIDIA from exporting these cards, and because of that, the reaction has been China like scooping up all of these consumer cards before like this ban. So it's like
Interesting.
they're just raising the prices like crazy, and it's the latest 4090s and NVIDIA are like $2,000 to $3,000 for a graphics card.
It's crazy.
nuts.
I built mine a few years ago, but I upgraded my graphics card with the 30 series, and the same kind of stuff was happening.
It's nuts.
Then. And I had to. I didn't. My brother camped out outside of a micro center.
Yeah.
And that's the way he got
got
his.
one.
Yeah, because there was no other way for him to get the newest graphics card. I think he got like the 3090.
Interesting, yeah.
And yeah, he had to camp out in front of a micro center, and he wasn't the only one. I mean,
Yeah.
people camped out to get it, because if you didn't, then they would be sold out online within
Yes.
2 seconds.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
A topic that I've been interested was related to this is have you seen NVIDIA's? So NVIDIA has traditionally been a graphics card company, right? And they've catered towards 3D modelers, gamers, but the latest, like the CEO of NVIDIA, the latest like keynote he went out and talked about is he declared we are an AI company. And so it's so, because like if you look at their market share, like they are blowing up. I think they've hit $1 trillion, in the market. They're just huge now, so, and their rise to fame really was this whole AI revolution. Is like they're now an AI company, which is funny is like as I'm building this computer, I'm like watching these videos online of all these angry like gamers, like graphics cards are so high and like NVIDIA doesn't care about gamers anymore. And so I'm like, this creates a huge market opportunity for like an actual like graphics card company that cares about gamers, because NVIDIA has gone that direction. AMD has come out, and actually the CEO of AMD has actually, I don't know if you guys saw this, they released their graphics card, like a new one, and both Meta and Microsoft have said they're going to buy like AMD, like the newest, instead of, because NVIDIA has dominated this marketplace. So all the things with ChatGPT are running off of NVIDIA. So like now there's this pivot over to AMD, and so there's some real competition. So hopefully prices will come down.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's interesting. I had no idea that they had marketed themselves
as an AI company.
as an AI company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Time to Google how to start a graphics card.
Seriously,
company,
that's a huge market opportunity. I feel like, yeah, that AMD is doing the same thing. I mean, it makes sense. Like they just skyrocketed in value as soon as all of their graphics cards were now being used for AI. So
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that also like Apple saw this coming, which is why they invested in their own silicon, and because they needed to control
Yes.
their supply chain, and then also capitalize on them being able to sell their own stuff. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Like that has to be on the horizon for Apple, right? Do you think they would? Wonder if they would ever sell their own GPUs or?
I'd have to imagine. I was talking to Thad on our team, and because we're building out an AI lab, and so he's super stoked about it. But his Mac can't use any of the graphics cards that are required to do this on his M1 Mac. He's so upset. He's like, "This is stupid," So, but yeah. So I would imagine Mac has to like do something. Like, I mean, Apple has to do something in response.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And this is also like a transitionary or transitory time where there's this mix of all these data centers in the cloud, large models up there, and then we're just starting to get some on-edge stuff.
yes.
And your own models that you can control. So, but for right now, like you have to build out your own AI lab to really
Yes.
play with things without having to pay all this money to all these big guys.
Yes.
So you have to but maybe even 2 years from now, having your own AI lab won't matter because everything will be optimized to run on
Yes.
any device anywhere. So
Oh yeah, the models will get smaller. I'm convinced that's the case. The models are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's fascinating to see. Like, I think you and I talked about this. So if we're switching gears from the hardware side, there's so much shifting sands around this AI stuff. That's just like all these companies that are firing up with all these ideas. Like we were just talking about, can we pull up TeamGPT?
yeah, I'll bring it up.
So this thing, have you, you've used ChatGPT, right, Evan?
Maybe like once or twice.
Once or twice, yeah, just for fun. Oh, we got to get you hooked on it more. But TeamGPT is really fascinating because TeamGPT is basically I talked with their tech team, and what's really awesome about this is so ChatGPT. If you haven't used it a ton, Evan, is you've seen this then where you can kind of chat with it and back and forth. It's like a chat,
yeah.
right? So what's cool about this is it basically allows another team member or plural team members to chat with it all together. And then you can fork conversations. So the cool thing about like what we're trying to do at City is basically we're trying to plug in all of this information on projects we're working on that we're learning about customers in the marketplace of like what people want. And so as we're learning all this information, we're putting it into the model. We then, as different team members, can work together to ask it questions and learn new information about each of the customers. So it's TeamGPT is just basically a collaborative way of working with ChatGPT. You can save templates, like you could create templates for like prompts. You can save different prompts. You can share it with team members. You can, chat in the same space. You can, organize it with folders, organize that by customers. So it's pretty comprehensive. It's basically allowing you to do it in a collaborative way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because that's the problem we're facing internally right now is we're rapidly adopting AI and conversational AI inside our organization, but we have some people who aren't excited about it. And also, it's a tall order to ask everyone in your company to become AI prompt engineers and experts on it. So that's a challenge. Then to create a consistent experience across individuals, how do you design the same workflow? And then to optimize, why would you want everyone doing all these steps in parallel? Why not just do it once? And so we talked about like, well, do we staff someone who is just our internal AI optimizer who is going to set up these workflows and make it consumable for everyone else? Unfortunately, we can't think of like what the title would be for someone like that because they're not an AI engineer. But yeah, you set up something like this. You have an admin who makes sure that you have all your departments set up in there. You have all your workflows established, and there's clear operating instructions. And then everyone gets the benefit from it.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer. And the thing that I love this, but it's funny because then I sent you a link because I was like, "This is awesome," and we're talking with this team right now, and they're pretty cool. They're out. They're not based in the U.S., but they're awesome team. They're very responsive. The thing about this though is that ChatGPT just started to I don't know when the date was. They released ChatGPT for Enterprise. And they promised all of these types of features. I don't know if exactly these features, but a lot of the features that were there. So yeah, this is it here, ChatGPT Enterprise. So I say that because like this has such shifting sands, like trying to innovate on top of something like ChatGPT, because you almost don't know where the line is of where ChatGPT is going. You know, where it's like, hey, this all of a sudden is now being sucked into ChatGPT, like the core.
Yeah. Yeah. When ChatGPT made their announcement, this was back in August, they probably added more things since then, but they were emphasizing just your data is secure. It's not going to go to us or be used for training. It's compliant, single sign-on. But they didn't talk about these types of features we're seeing in TeamGPT, but you have to imagine that that's where ChatGPT is going to go.
Yeah. And yeah, for the TeamGPT, what we're working with this team on is actually we're building out our own AI lab, like I mentioned, but we're working with them to actually use our offline model so that we're not putting customer data at risk in the cloud. So at ChatGPT. So
yeah. Well, then also we don't want to be dependent upon anyone else's model that's being maintained elsewhere. So I think that's a real challenge for people. You mentioned the shifting sands. If you're going to build something right now with OpenAI, it can change in a week's time.
Yes.
So I do like that there are some models now that you can you can download. They're open source. You have control over it, and theoretically, for the next 10 years, you could run that version of it. So if it's good enough for you, great. Rather than having to deal with like, oh, is OpenAI going to work for me today? Or they just released an update and now everything's broken. It's unexpected behavior. So I do like that there are some more options, because that's the only way I'd feel comfortable building on top of any of these products right now.
Yes. You own the data, you own the models, exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the paradigm shifts when you go from just writing in code, rules-based code sets, like to then using AI is when you write the rules yourself, you know exactly how that machine is going to behave all the time. Like that's one of the things I loved about programming is the machine only does what you tell it to do.
Yes.
And if it does something wrong, it's because you told it the wrong things. Now you move over to an AI paradigm and it's like, it's a black box.
It is.
You have no idea how it's going to behave.
And at times it's delusional, like we talked about. It's like, I remember, so Thad and I, this last week or two, he's been doing a lot of client work with AI. And so it's funny because he was getting so infuriated because he was just feeding it like instructions and it would just completely like go off the rails. And so he's like, guys, is there anything you could think of like a prompt? And we were like all trying to help him with like critique the prompt. And so it just goes off the rails. You can't predict it sometimes.
He was getting so mad. That was getting furious because he just wanted like this structured response coming back to him every time. And for one day it was, and the next day it wasn't. And you just seeing the chats that he had with his AI, just telling it, no, I don't want to hear that. Don't give me any of that fluff.
Let me tell you, the AI becomes sentient. It's coming after Thad Senti like immediately.
He's number one on the hit list for sure. Other people are trying to play nice with it. Like, could you please, like, I still say please when I talk to his assistant. Like, could you please do this for me? But he's like, do it.
All caps, like, I order you. You know, it's like, oh my gosh.
You are a machine. Remember that.
Luckily, Evan hasn't done much with it, so it's not going to come after Evan yet. So
no, I'll definitely be safe.
Are you going to hold out over there? Are you holding out on, like, is there any reason why you are using ChatGPT? Like, is it just you don't have a use for it?
Yeah,
or?
I don't know what to use it for. For me, I mean, with all the video stuff that we looked at in previous weeks, like, I'm sure it's coming, and I'll be able to use it better in the future. But right now, the stuff we looked at is early stages and is pretty clearly AI generated stuff, even though it's really cool and it looks good.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite, like, when comparing it or putting it next to a shot that isn't AI created, it's very clearly a difference. But I'm sure I could use it better in my daily life.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what that would look like.
Can I issue a challenge to you?
Oh,
sure.
How about this? Since we'll be back next week to record again, how about every day between now and then you use at least ChatGPT?
Every day?
Every day.
Find a reason.
Find a reason.
Yep. And one simple way to do that would be, like, anytime you're going to do a Google search, start with ChatGPT.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's like a trigger. Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Well, let's just see. Let's see if you can come up with any interesting things. Feel free to ask us for ideas along the way, but
Okay.
I want to see if you use it daily, what you'll come up with, if you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
I think it would be so fun to have someone be like, all right, here's my daily schedule. And they like walk through the day. And then they have some like there might be like in the future, their sole job is to look at people's day and then look at everything they do and then be like, here's how you could use AI to take your 8-hour day down to like 4 or 2.
It's like your AI life coach.
Yeah,
Type of thing.
exactly.
Yeah, this AI optimizer. I get it. That would make a lot of sense. Just do a quick call, look, and let's talk, and tell me how I could use it. Although I guess at some point AI should instruct itself.
There's a service idea, like a business service idea right there. Someone go take it. In fact, the position we're looking to hire, maybe that person needs to do that while they're organizing things. Go through person by person and be like, how do we optimize your day?
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
Because you don't know. You don't know. It's a totally different pattern of behavior.
Completely
So
different.
you don't even that's why I think you have to force yourself to go to these tools and be like, I've got to make this useful. How can I?
Yep.
Every time you have a little challenge in the day or like an issue in the day, just go to it and be like, well, the other day when you're trying to troubleshoot the issues with this mixer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, I did it with wiring my shed.
Yeah.
It worked great. Yep.
I was doing some market research for a client the other day, and I had to find out if all these different products had APIs that were accessible to us to consume and what their prices were. Typically, I would go to Google, search the company name, API, go to their pricing page, go to their documentation, figure it out. But I didn't have to do it this time. I actually went over to Bard. I know I bashed on it earlier, but it's a little bit better with some of these Google search-like activities. And I said, first, list off all the companies that might have an API that could do these things. And it did that. And I said, okay, now go out to each of those and find out if I have to request access to the API or if I can just use it, then find out what the price is. And it just went through and gave me a table of all that. And then I could use that information immediately. And it saved me
tons of time.
An hour of time or more. And it was so simple. It's a way better interaction than all these different sites.
And it was the other 2 days ago, and I think I sent you this link. I created a landing page, right? Created a landing page. That whole thing was generated by AI. Like literally most of the text, most of the images, and it went from designing a landing page from like 4 hours down to, it took me under an hour to throw together a landing page because I didn't have to do much thinking, which was great.
Do you want me to show it?
If you want to, we can pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the landing page I threw together, and we're just kind of right now, getting it out there. We're eating our own dog food, or actually, Kayla likes to use drinking her own champagne, right? Yeah. So we're drinking our own champagne, and we're basically talking to people about Michigan Launchpad, which is effectively bringing a bunch of service companies together and helping really the SaaS digital startup ecosystem through mentorship, through connections, through investment. And so all these images here, like that is, I just typed in. Do you see how
I like that one a
right?
lot.
Isn't that cool? Like, I think that one's sweet. I just said, okay, I typed in ChatGPT what it is, and it's like, here you go. It's a Michigan and it's Launchpad. It incorporated all the things in there, right? I was like, man, that's awesome, right?
Is this building in Michigan anywhere?
So if you scroll down, yeah, exactly. I wish. But if you scroll down, this one, look at the background. That is the Grand River.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See? So I said in this prompt, use something in West Michigan as like a landmark. And it literally replied back with this image, and it said, sure, here's an image of the Grand River incorporated with like some pretty fancy new technology stuff.
This is Grand Rapids in the future.
In the future, yeah, it is. Isn't that kind of cool?
The suspension bridge, the lines not connecting.
It's still prototypey, but it does the job. I think it does a pretty good job.
I like this big board over here.
But you know what's so funny?
Elements.
The text on these things, like look at the text down there, like it like completely botches up text. So the other thing I did. I had another landing page I was thinking about. and I had it create a logo. Have you guys tried it with logos?
Yeah.
It actually does a really good job. And so I was plugging out and I was like, give me another idea. Give me another. And it gave me all these ideas. The only issue with logos, it will botch the text up every single time. So it's, you only have to use it for the actual image part. So, but
yeah, there are some people on tech Twitter who show just these workflows for generating all these different logo ideas and then, how to remove the text and do all that. But yeah, it's awful with text. It's hilarious. Like you wouldn't think that would be a problem, but it's because it's trying to create it pixel by pixel and like art and not, it's not really thinking about I'm writing text here in this font. So this is a winner photo for
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. I would want this framed in my office. I like this one.
I think
this little jet engine doesn't make sense. That was pointing at us.
Hey, maybe it's like one of the Harriers where it can like rotate.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's launching both vertically and horizontally,
simultaneously. Yeah.
Wow,
isn't it? I think that's so cool. I think that's awesome. So
it's really cool. But yeah, just backing this up to where this started. This was a landing page that was programmatically generated.
Yes,
and hosted.
Under an hour.
And hosted in under an hour. So you've got a business idea or anything that you want to do. Like in an hour, you can have this digital presence and you can start getting feedback from people. And you look like because I think in this situation, you literally were walking into a meeting an hour later.
I was walking into a meeting and I was like, hey, I got to show a concept to someone. Threw it up in an hour. Boom. Done.
Yeah. Well, we should just, in case anyone relevant is listening, we should call out that we are looking for partners in this. We are looking for digital startups to invest in and support. So if there is anyone who cares about the Michigan tech ecosystem, software startups, talk to us.
Join us
in this mission. If you want Grand Rapids or
to look
Michigan
like that,
to look like this,
that's a future I want to be part of. I think I even see Evan in one of these chairs down here.
You think so?
I don't know. We have to find him proactively. Maybe that's him right there. That's Evan. You shaved Evan.
I'm off screen.
You're off screen like you typically are.
Just like the podcast.
Yeah. Well, it'd be hard.
Just off to the side there. You can't see me, but
yeah.
I think that one right there where your cursor is you, Bryce, except you've got, you grew your beard out right there.
Yeah. Well, it's in the future. I've got time to grow a beard.
See?
So, yeah. Well, I think Evan wouldn't be pictured because it's hard for AI to generate the 6'11", 300-pound monster of a man to put in here.
We should never show Evan and have people wonder like how this guy's massive in the corner.
So no joke, I am documenting everything that we describe Evan as so we can stay consistent and we can build up this character over time. So
it's not a character. I don't know why you say it's a character.
It's real.
It's all true.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
Well, yeah. Hey, I mean, you control this whole setup. So if at any point you want to put a camera on yourself and reveal who you are, I guess you can. But right now, you're 6'11", over 300 pounds.
Gorilla hands.
Pure muscle, though.
Gorilla hands. Pure muscle. Okay.
Gorilla hands. Yeah. Each hand is about a foot long. It's insane.
All right. Well, I think that's a great note to end on because we're up against our time. We got to go. But thanks, Josh. Thanks, Evan. Good as always. I did the intro song. Do you want to do the outro song? What? Yeah. I didn't want to step on that because that was so good.
Let that ride.
I was not expecting like guttural. That was pretty good, man. All right, there we go. That's it.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.